I have known Joanna for all of my life, or at the very least, as far back as memory will allow. We've been through a lot together, grown up with one another, and have always been there for each other. The fact that I knew her so well is why I found what she was telling me now so hard to believe. You see, Joanna is special, and her imagination doubly so. "There is no way this is dating a doctor," I chided, playfully tugging at her unkempt hair and gesturing at her lanky frame. "I am so. You're just jealous," she said in mock exasperation, pulling away from me. "Fair enough," I said. "I've always loved Joanna. Tell me about him. Is it even a him?" Joanna rolled her eyes and gave that sigh I always loved to hear. "Yes." She proceeded to tell me how she had met Dr. Virklich a few months back at a writers' convention in Holstenwall, Germany. They met at a cafe and immediately hit it off after discovering that they had many similarities. They enjoyed reading, discussing conspiracy theories, and they both loved to travel. She preferred to go alone, while he had his doctor buddies that traveled with him, jokingly referred to as his cabinet. One time, while visiting a mutual friend of ours, Joanna had to be rushed to the hospital due to a flare-up of a chronic condition she suffers from. When she arrived, the good doctor was there waiting for her. She vaguely remembers our friend being on the phone right before she was rushed off. That must have been how he knew to meet her at the hospital. Everything Joanna was saying about Dr. Virklich made him sound more and more wonderful. Top of his class in medical school, national honors, groundbreaking advancements in medicine. She said he was tall, dark, and handsome, whatever that means. Joanna really was head over heels for this guy, in a way that seemed more real than the others. He was sounding a little too good to be true, and I didn't like him one bit. "He really is the sweetest thing, Fo," she said, calling me the nickname she had given me when we were children, always encouraging me and giving me the support Mom and Dad never did. Best thing of all is he never asks for anything in return. "How do you mean?" I asked. Joanna always referred to her parents as our parents. "Well, you know how when I would get into my fits when I was younger, especially in high school? And you know how Mom and Dad would always just fight about it, yelling at each other, yelling at me? Well, he doesn't do that, Fo. He's always there when I'm having trouble, and he never gets upset. Never says I'm being selfish. It doesn't even have to be very bad. He always is there, talking, listening." Joanna's voice trailed off as she thought about her new man. "Joanna," I said, softly rousing her from her thoughts, "I was always there for you too, you know." "Oh, Philo," she giggled. "I know. You're the best friend a girl could ask for." "But," my voice rising, "I've always done everything this doctor has done and more. Have always been open and honest. And haven't I always come when you needed me? Been committed?" "Yes, but it's different with you. I never thought of you that way." I was about to lose it. All of these years I've been by her side. And for what? I've been the only consistent thing in her life, and yet she refuses to see me as anything more than a friend. "Joanna," I said through clenched teeth, almost a growl, "I want you to end it with this doctor. He's not right for you. He doesn't even sound real. I'm right for you. I'm real." What was I even saying? I couldn't stop. I turned to her. "Remember last time, how it didn't work out? You ended up sick with grief." I was losing control. I couldn't find my footing. "You tried to stab him, and then you cut yourself." My composure had completely shattered. "You should just cut yourself right now and save yourself the time. Do you hear me? Just cut yourself now. Just do it. Do it!" But she wasn't listening. Her eyes had shut, and she was rocking herself back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I was still fuming, but fuming quietly to myself now. We sat there for an eternity, a boundless void between us now. Our taciturnity was disturbed suddenly by the shuffle of orthopedic-shoed feet. I became abruptly aware of our surroundings. The floor was worn by many years of use, but you could tell it was clean. The walls were plain white. Not shockingly so. but not warm either. Clean as well. The door that was now opening was heavy, metallic, and possessed the same level of sterility as the rest of the room. The room was entirely too clean, austere, antiseptic. And yet, for all of the despondence the room's decor seemed to instill, it seemed as though I had been here before. The door completed its opening to reveal a squat, middle-aged woman dressed in all white, with a wizened face and kind, bright eyes. She didn't acknowledge me as she walked over to the small, monastic-style bed that Joanna was huddled on, pathetically soothing herself. "Here we are, dearie," the woman cooed. "There'll be no more of that yelling. Nurse Fletcher is here with your pro Renata." It was almost a lullaby. Where are we? What's wrong with Joanna? Before I had time to fully get my bearings, however, I found myself skidding out of reality. I was dissipating, evaporating, an all too familiar feeling of becoming nothing. "Joanna, I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said." Or did I? I felt compelled to say what I did, as if I was following some hellish libretto. I turned to see a tall, slender man in a white lab coat. It was getting difficult for me to focus my blurring vision, but I made out from his name badge that his last name started with a W. He went to Joanna. My Joanna. He spoke softly, encouragingly.
"There we go, Miss Barrett. Listen to the nurse now."
As Joanna complied, I thought I saw her smile, almost lovingly, at the doctor. It was in that reality-forming moment for Joanna that I came to a ghastly epiphany. This was a horrible moment where I realized that I was the imaginary friend.